How many times have you stayed quiet when you really should have spoken up? I'm sure you've told yourself, I'll just let it go, it's not worth the argument. Or, I'm bigger than this, better off staying calm. But here's the thing. Every time you stay silent when something's wrong, you're actually betraying your own power. Society teaches us to pick our battles or stay calm. But honestly, silence in the face of conflict isn't peace, it's a prison. And guess what? You've been taught to stay in it. Nietzsche, the philosopher, saw this coming. He called it slave morality. It's a set of toxic ideas that makes us swallow our anger, shut up when we should speak, and live in fear of upsetting people. But today we're breaking free from that chain. In this video, we're going to dive into how embracing conflict can actually unlock your true power. Avoiding it? That's a huge mistake. Here's the hard truth. As long as you keep trying to please everyone, avoiding conflict to keep the peace, you're storing up anger inside you. You're living a lie. Nietzsche really hit the nail on the head with his idea of slave morality. It wasn't created by the strong or the empowered. It was born out of the resentment and fear of the weak, the ones who were too scared to act. So they learned to hide their true feelings behind humility, submission, and silence. But here's the thing. This isn't just some dusty old philosophy. Slave morality has become the norm. It's the way we're all taught to live. It's the behavior that's expected of us, no questions asked. Today, we think we're being virtuous when we stay silent. We think we're being good by avoiding conflict. But honestly, what we're really doing is letting ourselves be dominated. Let me ask you, how many times have you quietly accepted something that wasn't right, just to avoid making waves? How many times have you kept your mouth shut, when deep down you knew you should have spoken up? How many moments have you swallowed your pride, let others disrespect you, and just let them walk all over you, all in the name of keeping the peace? It's time to stop and really think about this. Ask yourself, is this peace? Or are you just quietly giving away your power, thinking that silence is somehow safer? Now, I'm not here to tell you to start picking fights or being aggressive. That's not what I mean at all. What I'm saying is, you deserve to stand up for yourself. With dignity, not by tearing others down, but by simply asserting your presence. Because here's the deal. If you keep avoiding conflict, it will eat you alive from the inside. That resentment you're holding on to, it doesn't just vanish, it'll slowly build up, until one day, it'll be too much to ignore. And when that day comes, you'll either explode in the worst way possible, or you'll fall into apathy, convincing yourself that being good means staying harmless. But there's a way out of this. Nietzsche offers us a completely different way of thinking, a way to finally break free from this endless cycle of submission. It shows us that conflict, far from being our enemy, can actually be the path to freedom. We've been running away from it for so long, but it's time to turn that around. Conflict can be the tool we use to free ourselves. In this video, we're going to dive into Nietzsche's teachings on how to face confrontation. You'll see how this slave morality has shaped your life in ways you might not even realize, and more importantly, you'll learn how to break free from it. Are you ready to face some uncomfortable truths? What you're about to learn could completely change the way you view both the world and yourself. Stick with me until the end, and let's take this journey together. To really understand why conflict feels so scary, we need to go deeper than just our own experiences. We have to explore the roots of human moral history, where our beliefs and values were built in the first place. And no one has done a better job of unpacking this than Friedrich Nietzsche in his book on the Genealogy of Morals. Nietzsche tells us a tough truth. The values we hold today, or the ones we believe are inherently good, didn't come from a place of nobility or virtue. They came from weakness, resentment, and the desperation of those who were powerless, trying to defend themselves against the strong. Imagine a time when strength ruled everything. The powerful, the warriors, They didn't apologize for their will to dominate. They didn't wait for permission to act. They didn't care how you felt. They sought power and affirmation through sheer force. Their morality was active, affirmative. Good was anything that reflected strength, courage, independence, and greatness. Those were the values that built societies. But then, there were the others, the weak, the oppressed, the resentful. They couldn't win in the game of power. They didn't have the strength to impose their will. So, what did they do? They flipped the game on its head. They created a whole new morality, one that reversed the values of strength. What was once seen as good, strength, pride, courage, was now viewed as bad, even sinful. What was once seen as weakness, submission, humility, obedience, was elevated to the highest virtue. And it wasn't because they were naturally good or virtuous. It was a survival tactic. They had no choice but to create a moral system that would protect them from a world that was set up to crush them. Nietzsche nailed it with his idea of slave morality. This isn't something that was made up by the strong or empowered. It came from the resentment and fear of the weak. People who were too scared to act, so they learned to hide their true feelings behind humility, submission, and silence. But here's the kicker. This isn't some dusty old idea that doesn't matter anymore. Slave morality is alive and well in our society today. It's built right into the fabric of how we live and what we're taught. Think about the phrases you've heard your whole life. Don't argue. Be nice. Don't make waves. From the time we're kids, we're taught to link confrontation with evil and submission with virtue. Every time you stay quiet, bow your head, or avoid conflict just to keep things peaceful, you're living under the influence of this slave morality. But here's the important part. This doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you've been taught to believe that being strong, standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and speaking your truth is somehow wrong. And the result of this conditioning? It traps millions of people in a psychological cycle. Fear of confrontation, fear of standing up for what's right, fear of claiming your power. We convince ourselves that avoiding conflict is a sign of maturity, but what's really going on is fear. It paralyzes us. The more you avoid conflict, the tighter that fear's grip gets, and the stronger the slave morality becomes within you. But here's where it gets even worse. The anger you suppress doesn't just go away. It ferments inside you. And over time, it slowly turns into resentment. And let me tell you, resentment is what keeps you stuck in passivity. It's what slowly eats you from the inside out. And we're going to dive deep into how resentment works, how it takes over your life, and how it tears down everything you care about. So stick with me. The hardest truths are still ahead. If this video is hitting home for you, hit that subscribe button and join the community. Your support means so much to me. Now that you understand how slave morality shapes our fear of confrontation, let's talk about one of the most destructive emotions it creates. Resentment. Nietzsche, the master of human psychology, was all over resentment in On the Genealogy of Morals. He explains that resentment builds up when a vital impulse, the desire to act, assert yourself, or impose your will, gets blocked, crushed, or suppressed. But that energy doesn't just disappear. No, it turns inward. Instead of transforming into action, it becomes poison that seeps into your soul. A resentful person is someone who wants to act, but can't. They want to confront the aggressor, but don't have the courage. They want to claim their space, but they're too scared of the consequences. So instead, they bottle up their anger and create a moral narrative to justify their passivity. They start telling themselves things like, I'm better because I don't react. I'm nobler because I forgive. I'm superior because I don't stoop to arguing. But here's the truth. This is a lie. Beneath that supposed moral high ground is an ocean of unacknowledged anger, frustration, and powerlessness that rots the soul from within. You can feel it, even if you're not admitting it to yourself. Every time you stay silent when you should speak up and spend hours replaying the moment in your head, thinking about what you should have said, that's resentment. Every time someone takes advantage of your goodwill and instead of standing up for yourself, you bottle it up, that's resentment. Every time you pretend everything is fine when deep down you're feeling that growing bitterness because you couldn't defend your boundaries, that's resentment. Nietzsche warns us. The resentful person is not just a victim. They are an accomplice to their own imprisonment. By avoiding conflict when it's necessary, you feed this poison inside of you, and over time, it destroys you. Resentment creates a vicious cycle. The more you run from confrontation, the more resentment grows. The more resentment grows, the less courage you have to confront it, and the deeper you sink into bitterness and self-pity. As you start to reclaim your will to power, you're going to notice something pretty amazing. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even a little intimidating. Standing up for yourself isn't something that just happens overnight. It takes courage, it takes practice, and yeah, it takes being okay with a little discomfort. But here's the thing. Every time you face that uncomfortable moment and choose to lean into the conflict, instead of running away, you're going to feel more alive and more authentic than ever before. Now, don't get me wrong. Being assertive doesn't mean you need to become someone who's constantly fighting with others or trying to control everything around you. That's not the point. The point is to stop controlling yourself. It's about letting go of the need to shrink, to play small just to avoid discomfort, and instead owning your space in this world. The moment you stop playing small to keep the peace is the moment your world will start to shift. The relationships that you've been avoiding addressing, they'll either turn into something healthier, or if they don't, they'll fade away. And that's okay, because here's the real truth. Your power lies in being unapologetically yourself. When you start owning what you want, being clear about your needs, and refusing to dim your light to make others comfortable, you tap into something much bigger than any passive submission could ever give you. You stop living in fear, and you start living with intention. The fear you've been holding on to for confrontation wasn't really about the conflict itself. It was about the stories we've been told all our lives, the stories that say confronting others makes you difficult or selfish. But those stories, they're complete lies. In reality, confrontation is an act of self-respect. It's telling yourself and the world, I deserve to be heard. My feelings matter. I won't back down when something's not right. The more you embrace those uncomfortable moments of confrontation, the more you'll start to peel away the layers of conditioning that have kept you stuck in a cycle of silence. You'll start to realize that silence isn't peace when it's in response to disrespect. Silence is complicity. When you stay silent in the face of injustice, you're letting disrespect win, and slowly you let your own power slip away. So, what's the next step? It's time to challenge yourself to be the person you were always meant to be. You're going to face your fears head-on and start doing the hard work of reclaiming your power, even when it feels uncomfortable. Every time you step into that moment of discomfort and choose to assert yourself, you're winning. Even if it's small, it's a huge victory. And with each small win, you'll realize that you're not the person who avoids conflict anymore. You're someone who faces challenges with strength. Let me be clear though, this journey won't always be perfect. You'll have moments where you slip up or doubt yourself. That's completely normal. What matters is that each time you stand up for yourself, you get stronger. You'll start seeing that the person who once shied away from confrontation will begin to feel empowered. like you've been quietly growing stronger inside all along. And this isn't about always being right or about winning every argument. It's about simply being true to who you are. It's about having the courage to live your life on your terms, without the fear of disappointing others or being judged for being too difficult. It's about honoring your needs without feeling guilty for doing so. That's the path Nietzsche was talking about. And the more you walk it, the more you'll realize that this is the only way to live fully. To embrace yourself fully, even when it means stepping out of your comfort zone. Many people get so used to this cycle that they start defining their identity around it. They become voluntary martyrs, proud of their supposed goodness, when in reality they are prisoners of their own fear. But Nietzsche didn't think we were condemned to live this way. There's a way out, and it starts with cultivating the will to power, the ability to assert your existence without fear. In the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to reclaim your vital force, how to break free from the patterns of submission that have been holding you back for so long. So, let's step back and take a look. Nietzsche wasn't just diagnosing problems, he wanted us to overcome them, and the key to breaking free from this prison: the will to power. This idea has been misunderstood by many. People often think that the will to power is about dominating others. But that's not what Nietzsche meant at all. What he's talking about is the fundamental drive of life, the urge to expand, to assert yourself, to grow, and to surpass your limits. This is the will to power. It's what drives us to push through obstacles, to create, to transcend. But the slave morality tries to suffocate this drive. It tells you not to assert your desires, not to stand out, not to confront. It wants you to stay in a small, controlled space, and when you suppress your will to power, it doesn't disappear. It festers. It turns against you, and from that comes resentment, passivity, and self-pity. So, how do you reclaim your will to power? First, recognize that the fear of conflict isn't a virtue, it's a vice that you need to overcome. Second, take a stand. Start with the small stuff. Say no. Set boundaries. Reclaim the right to exist fully. Third, cultivate the courage to face life's inevitable conflicts, not to destroy others, but to assert your place in the world. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't about oppression, it's about ceasing to be oppressed. It's about living authentically, with integrity, a straight spine, and a free soul. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a long, hard process. It's an inner rebirth. But that's where we begin.